This is Court TV Live. I'm Julia Jenae. Thank you for being with us. I'm in this morning for Ted Rowlands. We are following several trials in Georgia today. We're in Athens, Georgia, where we're bringing you a bench trial for defendant Jose Ibarra. The prosecution in that case says that Ibarra beat Laken Riley, a nursing student, to death with a rock and then strangled her back in February. We'll get you back into court in just a moment for those opening statements. We're also watching the courtroom in Canton, Georgia. It's day one of the defense case in the murder trial for Chloe Driver. The defense claims she was criminally insane when she used a kitchen knife to stab her own one-year-old daughter to death. The first defense witness is a forensic psychologist who evaluated this young mother.
And what did you learn about Miss Driver's background?
I learned that she has sort of an unstable early childhood, that her family moved around and she felt like they were kind of cold, but that she also left the family several times. She left and moved in with boys. She even left the state and moved in with a boy. She had some suicidal ideation early on, some self-injurious behavior, and we're talking about like cutting. She would cut her arms. She, I think, attempted an overdose on sleeping pills. She also abused substances. She started at a young age using marijuana and then cocaine and experimenting with some other drugs as well.
Again, that's the first witness for the defense, and we will bring you updates on the Chloe Driver trial throughout the day today. But for now, we are going back to the big trial today, the murder trial for defendant Jose Ibarra. We're picking it up right where we left off with the defense's opening statement.
Was wearing an Adidas hat. That's true. When they find that hat, and specifically the hat that was tested in this case, it was worn by Diego Ibarra, not Jose Ibarra, Diego Ibarra. And you'll also hear, and the state will ask you to consider different types of forensic evidence and to suspend your understanding of how that evidence is evaluated. Because while they will say that Mr. Ibarra's DNA was present at the scene, what they'll tell you is that without this software that we can't test, this proprietary software used by the GBI, without that, their expert wouldn't have been able to say whose DNA it was. She wouldn't have been qualified to testify about whose DNA that is. So they have to use a machine. And they're going to ask you to trust that machine where the human being isn't good enough. But with this fingerprint, they're going to ask you to trust a person because a machine isn't good enough. When they run those fingerprints through the database of fingerprints where they know Mr. Ibarra's fingerprint is, it doesn't come up. And so while a machine is good enough in one situation to try to convict Mr. Ibarra, it's not good enough in another. And it's this kind of gymnastics that it will take to tell the story with this circumstantial evidence. We waived a jury trial in this case with the hope and trust that despite the nature of this evidence, that you could come to a verdict that was not just a way of easing this family's suffering, but it was based on an impartial and honest assessment of the evidence in this case. If that happens and the presumption of innocence is respected, there should not be enough evidence to convince you beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Ibarra is guilty of the crimes charged.
My brother did it. That's the defense that we are hearing from this opening statement by the defense for Jose Ibarra. Let's bring in so we can just have some analysis on these two opening statements that we've seen. We have in studio with us trial attorney and host of Once Upon a Crime in Hollywood podcast, Kelly Hyman is here. Kelly, we're listening to these two competing stories. The defense's opening statement much shorter than the prosecution's. They laid out a lot of evidence, a lot of compelling evidence. And you had an interesting question. Why wouldn't they want to put this in front of a jury? Is there anything in this opening statement that you think played better with a judge rather than in a jury who may be drawn by their emotions?
Well, you can first look at it from the standpoint of emotions, right? This has gotten a lot of national attention on this case. A lot of people are paying attention to this, especially this young student who was brutally killed, horrific. And so potentially people want to find someone accountable for the actions. So not just saying, oh, well, obviously he's the person, he's been charged, he's been indicted, he's guilty. But the defense wanted to take that away and say, no, just solely look at the evidence based on the evidence presented that it wasn't him. And the fact that, oh, this wasn't his hat or the DNA, it was his brother's. So strongly looking at what evidence there is to substantiate the state's case.
Yeah, sounds like the defense is hoping that the judge will look more at the DNA, look more at how it happened. Let's go back in. We have now on the stand, following those opening statements, the first state witness, and it's Lily Steiner. She was a roommate of this nursing student, Laken Riley.
Lived in the house for 2 years. I lived with Laken at the time of her death for a little over a year and a half.
How would you describe your relationship with Laken?
We were roommates, but the term roommates is an overgeneralization of our relationship. Our house was like a little family, and we called each other our family. We did everything together. We had family dinners, family TV nights and movie nights. Laken brought a sense of joy to all of our lives that has been missing ever since.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor? Yes. Penny, what's been marked for identification purposes is State's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize the person in State's 1?
I do.
Who is it?
Laken Riley.
And does it fairly and accurately depict Laken as she appeared in life?
Yes.
Statement moved to admit State's Exhibit 1. Request permission to publish. No objection.
It's admitted, and you may publish.
So, how old was Laken?
She was 22.
Where did she go to school?
At the time, she was going to Augusta College of Nursing, which had an Athens location.
What was she studying there?
Nursing.
Prior to attending Augusta College, had she attended the UGA?
Yes.
Okay. How long was she at UGA?
She was at UGA for 3 years before that.
Did you and Laken and your other roommates share each other's location?
We did.
Tell the court how you all did that.
So there's an app called Find My iPhone, Find My Friends, and you can request to have other people's locations, share your location with other people. So we did that with a lot of our friends.
Tell the court, where were you on February 22nd?
I went a few different places. That morning I was at our house, and then I ran a few errands, ended up back at our house, ran another errand, went back to our house.
Did you see Laken that morning?
I did not.
Okay. What time did you leave your house?
Around 9:30, I believe.
Okay. And when you left your house to go out, was Laken there or not there?
She was not there.
Okay. At some point, did you become aware that people were looking for Laken?
So I kind of had concerns of my own. When I left the house the first time, I wanted to go get coffee with Laken. I knew Laken was the only one who may have been home. Sophia was taking an exam and Connolly had class. And so I knew Laken might have been home. I went downstairs and I didn't see her sitting at her usual spot at the kitchen table. So I checked her location to see where she was. And I saw that she was on a run on a trail that she typically ran.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor? Yes. I'm handing you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 2. Do you recognize States 2?
I do.
What is States 2?
This is a screenshot from the app Find My Friends of Laken's location.
And is that how it appeared when you checked it on the morning of February 22nd of 2024?
Yes.
State would move to admit State's Exhibit 2. No objection.
Two's admitted.
And may I publish?
Yes.
Publishing State's Exhibit 2, could you tell the court what we're looking at here? Explain this to us. What is this?
Sure. So the LR is the initials of Laken Riley. You can see that at the bottom. And underneath her name is a rough just address, I guess, of where she was at. And then underneath that, it says now. This is the exact time of when her location, like the way that it updated, it would say now. So that was her location at that exact time.
And is that what you saw when you first checked her?
Yes.
Where is that location? And is your house in here as well? And other people? We see other initials. CH, MC, whatever.
Yes. So CH is Connolly Huth. That is my roommate. And so her location right there is at our house. And then MC, that is one of my other friends who lived further down the street.
And LR was Laken Riley?
Yes.
And where is that location that you saw her? Are you familiar with that location?
Roughly, yes.
Yeah. And
yeah.
when you checked it, what about the first time you checked it, approximately what time?
It was about 9:30 from what I remember.
Okay. So did you, again, check it again?
Yes, so when I got home from my first set of errands, and I saw that Laken still wasn't home. That wasn't unusual because it was only about an hour after I checked her first location, so I thought maybe she was just still on a run. Checked it a second time around 10:45, I believe. That's a rough estimate. And I saw that it was in the same location. That did raise some concerns. So I texted Laken and just was checking in on her, and then addressing Connolly in a group message. I said, she's been in the woods a while.
Did you have a cell phone service that day?
So that day there was an AT&T service outage. So I was not, I did not have service if I was not connected to the Wi-Fi at my house. So if I left the house, I was not able to communicate or receive any communication.
So where were you home then? At approximately what time did you get home when you realized that she had not left the woods?
That was about 10:45, and then I ended up leaving the house again because I still wasn't. I just thought she was still on a run, and there was maybe she was on the phone or something.
And then what time did you return again?
I would say roughly 11:30. I'm a little less familiar with what exact time that was.
And when you got home at 11:30, was there anyone else home?
Yes, so I immediately pulled in and I saw Sophia standing outside with her dog. And I got out of the car and she just immediately said, can we go look for Laken? Yeah.
And did y'all do so?
We did.
And what did y'all do?
So Sophia was a little bit more familiar with the trail. We walked down using her knowledge of the path that Laken would usually take on a run. And then when we got a little bit closer, we were using the Find My Friends app to kind of go directly to where her location was until we were standing kind of right around it.
When you were at the location where you felt that Laken was showing on her phone, did you see Laken?
We did not.
Okay. Did you see anything that you think may have belonged to Laken?
So when we were walking, Sophia noticed a lone AirPod that was sitting on the trail, kind of right around where her location was, and she picked it up, kind of assuming that it was Laken's.
All right, and I'll ask Sophia about that. At some point, did you all return home?
We did.
Okay, when you got home, what did you do?
Everything about Lily Steiner's testimony there is bringing Laken Riley to life inside of this courtroom and in front of this judge. We do have to get to a break. We'll have more testimony on the other side of it. And we also want to remind you about Court TV's new original series. That's a riveting one. Interview with a Killer is happening this Sunday, and we have a new episode. Investigative reporter David Scott is the host, and he talks to convicted murderer Tyler Hadley. He's a Florida man who, at just 17 years old, bludgeoned his mother and father to death with a hammer. Prosecutors say he then spent 3 hours cleaning up the bloody scene before hosting a party with his parents' bodies still inside their house. Now, friends at this party even said that he bragged about the killings, eventually actually showing them the bodies in the bedroom. Disturbing stuff. But Hadley has been serving 2 life sentences after a judge called his crime brutal, heinous, and premeditated.
So your mom took 37 blows. Right?
Yeah, I guess so.
What else do you remember?
I remember my dad running out.
In the commotion, your dad came out?
Yeah.
You described a stare down.
Maybe for a couple seconds. Maybe a second. And I must have ran really fast because I got right to him.
What's in your mind at that point?
The same thing that was already in my mind. Do it.
Do it?
Yeah.
You can watch this entire episode this weekend. It's a fascinating, compelling look inside the mind of this convicted murderer. Interview with a Killer. It airs this Sunday at 8 p.m. right here on Court TV. We'll be right back.
This case clearly on the national forefront, brutal murder of this young woman, Laken Riley.
Investigators say she was beaten to death while going on a run.
This is a heartbreaking time for the university. We have a suspect in custody, Jose Antonio Ibarra. He did not know her at all.
Such a violent, unprovoked act. Will there be justice for Laken Riley?
The murder of Laken Riley. Live coverage today, only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are watching together day 1 of the murder trial for a defendant who's accused of killing a nursing student, Laken Riley. This happened near University of Georgia's campus. The prosecution says that Jose Ibarra murdered Riley while she was jogging in February of this year. Let's get you back to the court. On the stand is the victim's roommate, Lily Steiner.
It wasn't shortly after that we got home that I called 911. Or not 911, excuse me, the UGA Police Department.
May I approach the witness room? Yes. My name was been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 3. Do you recognize State's 3?
I do.
What is it?
It is the phone call that I made to the police.
And is it a fair and accurate recording of your 911 call that you made on February 22nd, 2024 at approximately 12:05 p.m.?
It is.
When you reported Laken missing?
It is.
State would move to admit State's Exhibit 3, request permission to publish.
No objection. Where's it been tonight?
Your Honor, did we have to toggle back over so that you could hear it? I don't know the system like that.
Yes, we do. If you play
We
it
do.
from the laptop.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure, but we'll see.
Yes, sir. Because I know it's playing, but I can't hear it.
Is that on HDMI? I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
12:05 seconds, February 22, 2024.
Mercy Police, this is Jed.
Hi, we're calling because our roommate went out for a run at 9. He usually runs like through Lake Herrick behind grad housing, and we haven't heard from her. And we all just got like service back, so we don't think it has anything to do with the outage. We went to go look to where her last location was, and all we found was an AirPod.
Okay. Hold on one second for me.
Okay.
stop Stacey Exhibit 3 at 1 minute in. Is somebody else also talking?
Yes, so I was having trouble explaining kind of where Laken's location was, just because I wasn't super familiar with that area. So Sophia Magana, my roommate, took my phone.
Okay, are y'all together when you're making this call?
Yes.
At our house on Millers Avenue Extension.
Okay, are you able to come? Hold on, let's see. Can you come, like, so do you know where the intramural field parking deck is?
Yeah, we can go there.
Okay, can you go there and meet the officers? What's your name?
My name's Sophia Magana.
And what's your friend's name?
The one, her name's Laken Riley.
12:07:43, 2nd February 22, 2024. What is your phone number?
The one that I'm calling you from is 678.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, do you remember Laken's phone number off the top of your head?
Kind of, but yeah.
Are you about to say it to 911?
Yes.
And is the number that you gave, 911, was that Laken's cell phone number?
Yes.
That we're about to hear?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Let me look. 770.
Do you know if she has class or anything at this point?
She has a class at 1, so that's it's her nursing. She adjusts to nursing school and she does not miss class.
(12:08:43), 2nd February 22, 2024. How did you get her last known location? Was it from her phone?
Yes, it was updating, so that's why we're a little confused. But we didn't see her phone anywhere when we left.
You can tell in that 911 call, they aren't quite to the point of knowing what happened. They just are very concerned. But let's bring back in trial attorney and host of Once Upon a Crime in Hollywood podcast, Kelly Hyman is with us. Kelly, seeing Lily there, even getting choked up, listening to it, just reminds you how powerful a witness it is to have her as the first witness. Talk about that choice by the state.
So when the state presents its case, it decides who it wants to present as the first witness. Usually you put your strongest witness in the beginning and then you want to end strong as well. So this is a very powerful person for the state to bring as a witness. She comes across as very believable, very compelling, and very nervous. I mean, here she is and she loses her best friend. She considered her family, and having to go through this step by step, talking about the location and then talking about searching for her as well, and then calling the police and trying to find out where she is very compelling.
Oh yeah, just she's taking us on this emotional roller coaster that she was on during that time. A bench trial doesn't spare victims from having to come in and testify. Unfortunately for the victims, but for the defense, they are getting the chance to put this all in front of a judge. Kelly, stand by. We are going to get a break, and then we will come back for more in this trial that we are watching out of Georgia, the Laken Riley murder trial for defendant Jose Ibarra. Welcome back. We're watching together the murder trial for Laken Riley happening in Georgia. Testimony is underway right now in Athens. Defendant Jose Ibarra is accused of killing the 22-year-old nursing student earlier this year. This is as she was jogging around a wooded area of the University of Georgia's campus. Prosecutors say that Ibarra struck Riley in the head with a rock multiple times and then strangled her. He's facing life in prison if he's convicted. Let's get you back into court now. We are listening to more testimony from a friend, a roommate, a very close personal friend of the victim, and someone who was looking for her that morning that no one knew where she was. Lily Steiner.
like 5 minutes.
12:09:56, February 22, 2024.
Okay. So what kind of vehicle are you going to be in so the officers know to look for? How did she get there? Did she run from your house there, or did she take a vehicle there?
Yeah, she runs the trail. Her car's still at our house.
Okay, we've got officers on the way, all right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Police, this is good.
Hi, my name's
Another call that got attached. So after you made that 911 call, what did you do?
I drove to the intramural fields parking deck on UGA's campus to meet with the police.
And where did Sophia go?
So Connolly was in class. Sophia went to go pick up Connolly from class so that they could meet us at the Iron Field with the police.
And did the three of y'all meet there?
Yes.
And were the police officers there?
Yes.
At some point did a police officer ask you if you could show him the location of Laken as it depicted on your phone?
Yes.
And did you do so?
Yes.
And the thing that you showed him as it states Exhibit 2, what we've already looked at?
Yes.
Okay. How long did y'all have to stay there that day at the Iron Fields?
It felt like forever. I'm not sure of the exact amount of time, but maybe around 5 hours.
At some point, did the police ask you to show them the ring footage from your home where Laken had left out in the morning?
Yes, there were a few times that the police asked for different things, but I did show somebody at some point, yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm handing you what's been marked for identification purposes. It states Exhibit 4. Do you recognize it?
I do.
And did you put your initials and date that thumb drive?
I did.
What is states Exhibit 4?
This is the ring footage from our front door of Laken leaving that morning.
And is it a fair and accurate recording of that ring footage?
Yes.
They removed to mid states 4, request permission to publish.
No objection.
Submitted.
Pause it quickly. Do you see, first of all, in States 4 that is now being published, the date and the time of this footage?
Yes.
Could you tell the court where is it and what is it?
It's in the bottom right corner.
And what's the date and what's the time?
February 22nd, 2024, 9:03 Eastern.
And who is that person that we see in States Exhibit 4?
That is Laken.
After 9:03 a.m. on the 22nd day of February, did you ever hear from Laken again?
I did not.
Did you ever receive any text messages from her?
Not after 9:03, no.
Any calls from her?
No.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
No questions.
I don't have any questions for the witness.
Will she be excused?
Yes, sir. And she would like to remain.
All right. Go down.
You know, here with us still is trial attorney Kelly Hyman. And Kelly, we sometimes see that an emotional witness, a defense attorney, will opt not to ask any questions, but not when they have information that may be relevant to the actual crime that's alleged, which I think Lily did. Do you think there's a reason that they chose no questions in a case like this?
because they didn't believe that there was anything that could help substantiate their defense, or there was anything that they could poke holes at, any inconsistent statements that she made prior to or at any point in time. So because of that, most likely they said, we don't have any questions to ask her.
All right, we're going to hear from another roommate who did notice something on the trail when they were looking for Laken. We heard about that during Lily's testimony. Let's go back in and listen to testimony from the other roommate of the victim in this case.
Right close to your mouth so that His Honor can hear you and that counsel for the defendant can hear you. It's really important that you be heard, okay? And Madam Court Reporter is very close to you as well. She has to be able to hear everything you're saying because she's taking it down.
Yes.
All right. Spell your first and last name, please.
Sofiamagana.
How old are you?
I'm okay.
Okay, all right. What do you do for a living?
I'm a teacher.
And what do you teach?
I teach special education, high school language arts.
How long have you been a teacher?
4 months.
Where did you go to college?
I went to the University of Georgia.
And did you graduate?
Yes, ma'am, in May.
Of this year?
Yes.
Where were you living at the time of your graduation?
I was living in a house off of Millage Avenue Extension.
Who were you living with?
Lily, Connolly, and Laken.
How long have y'all lived together?
I lived with them for 2 years.
I want to direct your attention to February 22nd, 2024. What were you doing that day?
I was taking my GACE exam for my certification.
How do you spell that?
GACE.
What is a GACE exam?
It's a test you're required to take to get certified as a teacher in the state of Georgia.
Were you allowed to have your phone with you when you took the test?
No, ma'am. I had to put it in a locker.
What time did you leave your house that morning to take the test?
Around 8:20.
When you left your house that morning, did you see any of your other roommates?
I saw Laken and Connolly before I left.
Where did you see them?
Connolly was on our couch and Laken was sitting at the table, and I spoke to them for a little bit.
When you left out, where did you go for the test? Was it on campus or elsewhere?
It was on campus. It was in Clark Hall.
How long were you there taking your test?
I got there around like 8:45, and I left maybe around 11:15ish.
When you completed your test, what happened?
I got my stuff, I got back in my car, and I drove back to my house because I didn't have service, so...
When you say service, you didn't have what service?
Phone service.
And why didn't you have phone service?
Because AT&T had the outage that morning, and my provider's AT&T.
So, what happened when you were eventually able to get service back on?
I got back home, and when I got service, I had some text from Connolly, my roommate, asking me to check around the house to see if I saw Laken anywhere. And then once I got into the house, I got a phone call from Connolly and Lauren.
Who's Lauren?
Lauren's Laken's younger sister.
Well, after you got the call.
All right, we do have to get to a break. We are hitting the pause button on this testimony. We'll get you back in for the trial for Jose Ibarra, accused of killing Laken Riley.
This case clearly on the national forefront, brutal murder of this young woman, Laken Riley.
Investigators say she was beaten to death while going on a run.
This is a heartbreaking time for the university. We have a suspect in custody, Jose Antonio Ibarra. He did not know her at all.
Such a violent, unprovoked act. Will there be justice for Laken Riley?
The murder of Laken Riley. Live coverage today, only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are in Athens, Georgia, following a trial for a man who was accused of killing a nursing student back in February. Her name was Laken Riley, and the defendant who's accused in her death is Jose Ibarra. He appeared in court earlier this week. We were standing by waiting for jury selection to start when he waived his right to a jury trial and opted instead to have a bench trial. That means only a judge is going to decide his fate, going to determine the law and determine the facts in this case. Let's get you into the courtroom now for more testimony from the victim's roommate, Julia Jenae.
Connolly, did you look for Laken?
Yes, I looked for her around the house and outside, in her car, kind of everywhere, every room, every corner, a few times, and I didn't see her.
What did you do after that?
I grabbed my dog and I decided to check her location on Find My iPhone, and then got my dog on his leash and started heading out to go towards her location.
Did you go alone, or did someone else besides your dog go with you?
Champ came with me, and then my roommate Lily.
Champ is your dog?
Yes, ma'am.
So where did y'all walk, and about how long did it take you to get there?
We walked down the trail that was like off the road, so it took us about no more than 15 minutes, I would say maybe 10, to get to where we got.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm showing you 3 exhibits at the same time. State's Exhibit 5, State's Exhibit 6, and State's Exhibit 7. Starting first with State's Exhibit 5, do you recognize that overall photo?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it?
It's a map of the trail.
The state would move to admit State's Exhibit 5. No objection.
Not submitted.
State's Exhibit 6 and 7, can you look at both of those?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize both of those?
Yes, ma'am.
What are
The
they?
pictures I took when I found an AirPod.
And they fairly and accurately depict what you saw on February 22nd of 2024.
Yes, ma'am.
State would move to admit States 6 and 7, request permission to publish. No objection.
6 and 7 are admitted, and you published about 6 and 7.
And may we toggle back over, Your Honor?
Yes.
Starting first with State's Exhibit 5, and I have a pointer that I think you could use that has a laser on it. But no one will be able to see that now. Your Honor, can you see the screen if she uses a pointer?
I can. I've got a... You got the other pointer? Okay.
And that's probably going to be the better way to go.
Yeah, I think she's got it, yeah.
If you could show His Honor, what direction did you and Champ and Lily go, and where were you when you found an AirPod?
So we started here, and then right about here
At the end of the...
at Millage, where it
Millage
turned
Avenue?
into a sidewalk.
Okay.
We got to the sidewalk, and then there's the train tracks like right here, and there's a little like trail that's just been walked over a lot, so we went down the trail and then crossed over the train tracks and then walked this all
Around the
way.
retaining pond?
Yes,
On the side of it?
around the retaining pond.
All right.
Can I stand up?
You may stand with the court's permission.
Yes.
Thank you. But keep your voice up so Madam Court Reporter can hear you.
Okay. So we walked here, and then this is where like the main trail starts. So we got over here. There's like a turn. And we took the curve and we stopped right about there.
Okay. So when you say there, is there a trail there?
Yes, ma'am. It's all a trail.
And that's on the top right part of State's Exhibit 5. For the record, I'm just making a record for the court.
Right.
Okay. Where within the trail, was it on the side of the trail, the middle of the trail, where within the trail did you find the iPod? AirPod, sorry.
The AirPod was towards the left-hand side, but still on the trail.
And showing you, first of all, how did you find the AirPod?
Champ was sniffing a lot, and so I looked down because he was really fixated over a specific area where I kind of had stopped, and he was pulling, and then when I looked over, I noticed there was like a white AirPod, so.
All right, State's Exhibit 7. What are we looking at there? And can you see the AirPod?
Yes.
Can you point to it for the court?
It's right here.
Okay, the bottom of this photo.
Yes, ma'am. That's where I found the AirPod, or where it was when we got it.
And you said this is State's Exhibit 6. First of all, do we see Champ in State's Exhibit 6?
Yes, ma'am.